I like how he ends that with, get a job, Moogle. It's so great.
Well, and that's a sentiment we can all get behind, isn't it?
Right.
We may not all agree on the political things going on today or cops or whatever, but we can all agree that Moogle needs to get a job.
I agree.
You know, that's an easy one. Maybe getting Moogle a job could be what unifies this country.
It could be.
Because Lord knows it would take pretty much everybody in the country working on it to get this fucking lazy piece of shit to work.
Right.
I think that there's potential here. You think that kid will ever work?
No.
Never.
Mm-mm.
You think he's going to end up homeless?
Yes. Well, he's either going to end up homeless or he'll I don't know. He's going to end up in the Salvation Army men's shelter.
He'll be homeless. I don't think there's any. First of all, I don't think the mom has any money.
No, she's a working class person.
Yeah. So when she drops dead of embarrassment, then it'll all be him, and he'll be homeless. And what's it take? 3 months of no rent, and 3 more months of before they can throw you out. 6 months, he'll be homeless.
Yeah, of course.
Or he'll starve to death.
Well, he'll starve to death because he won't have any money to buy anything to eat. I mean, obviously, you could go get food stamps and things.
That requires work that he won't do.
True.
Do you think he would actually go down to get food stamps and unemployment, or not unemployment, but whatever, welfare?
Well, if you're starving to death, you'll
still think he would find a way. He would have to walk there.
Yeah, but you know, he'd be desperate enough to do something.
Do you think? I picture him just fading away.
Really, just like laying on the couch with a game controller in his hand and just basically dying of starvation.
Yep, just him in his suit, just laying in his puppy suit, getting ready to die.
I thought it was a fox.
Whatever.
I thought he had a fox suit.
Oh, maybe it's a fox. I don't know. I don't pay that much attention. When Moogle comes on, I immediately tune out.
Sure.
Just like all the listeners.
Look at Jackal. I think Moogle enrages Jackal the most.
You know why? Because Jackal works his ass off.
I know. Jackal is 50-something years old, and he's been busting his ass all his life, and just to see some kid who's half his age just laying around doing nothing.
Yeah, does not a goddamn thing. That has to make guys like Jackal or me or you just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to point and laugh, but I mean, if somehow I had to, can you imagine being responsible for that?
No, because that would never fly. If I had a child, which thank God I never went down that road.
Yeah.
But I'm old enough to be Moogle's dad.
Sure.
If there would not be a kid 28 years old living at home,
no,
watching YouTube all day.
What if he was a bum, though? I mean, wouldn't that be embarrassing?
It would be, but the thing is I would never allow that to happen.
Well, I mean, you can't force him to work.
Well, you can't force them, but the thing is you would have instilled those values into them at a very early age.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
He would have never gotten to the point of being an adult and not having any direction or not being able to go to work or whatever.
How old would he have been before he had to get a job?
To get a job?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely by 16.
Yeah, would have had to do at least the summer job.
Yeah, well, but the thing is I'm going to go back in the old man Neeley days. I started earning money as a kid at 9 years old.
Wow, 9.
9.
What were you doing?
I was baling hay, picking corn, shoveling barns.
Wow, 9.
9. Yeah.
I thought I started early at 13. 9.
9. I was working on hay wagons at 9 years old during the summer. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. At 10, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going out to the sweet corn fields and picking sweet corn.
Ooh.
Picking sweet corn at 5 in the morning.
Right.
When the dew was still heavy on the corn stalks, and your clothes were soaking wet, and the mosquitoes were eating your ass.
Right. Mom and Dad didn't care. It was like, get out there, kid, and do your job.
I got paid 50 cents a basket for corn.
Came back with what, about $1.50 a day?
Well, no, it was probably $5 a day, $6 a day. We would pick from 5 in the morning till about 9.
Okay.
So about 4 hours a day.
All right.
So you could pick four baskets in an hour. So that was what, $2? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, it was $8, $8 or $10.
But you felt like you were a king doing it.
Well, I earned enough money, and this was back in the 70s. Some people here listening to the show might remember, but back in the early 70s, about 73, 74, somewhere around there,
right?
10-speed bicycles were all the rage.
Right, sure.
That was everybody had a 10-speed,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that was what I spent my money on. I started working in June, and I worked all the way till the end of to the end of August.
Right.
So basically for almost 4 months, I earned $125, and that's what that bike cost me back in 1974.
Right.
$125 for a 10-speed.
Right. That's about what they cost now.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
That's what they cost now.
But that was $1974.
Shit, yeah. So that was like $4,000 American.
And that bicycle is still down in my garage.
Of course it is. It doesn't even have a speck of rust on it.
It doesn't.
Of course it doesn't. It's you.
Yeah, but I busted my ass for it at 10 years old.
I bet you still go out there every 3 months or so and grease up that chain a little bit. Fucking polish it a little bit. You do at least once a year, don't you? Clean up.
Yeah, I got to clean it up. Sure.
How often do you ride it?
Oh, I haven't ridden it in a while, though. I got to be honest with you. I haven't ridden it in a while. I actually got to put some new tires on it.
Yeah, but you still keep it. You give it.
Yeah, I still keep it nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The thing is I busted my ass for that.
Sure. So you kept it. I get it.
But that was something my parents, instilled in me at a very early age. It's like, we're not just going to go buy you a bicycle.
Yeah, go do it.
Because you want one, you got to go get it yourself.
I had the same lessons. I was 13 years old, and this is where I turned into a scumbag quickly. But my first job at 13 was doing all the landscaping work at the church that was right there on 14, St. Joan of Arc, right behind WSTB.
Right.
I used to do all the landscaping, cutting the grass, planting the flowers, weeding the flower beds.
Sure.
Setting up for bingo, all that kind of shit, right? And me being me, even at a young Chris age, I would make $120 a month for, $3 an hour.
Yeah.
I would take that money. I would buy $100 worth of weed. Then I would sell that weed for about $350.
Yeah, there you go. You multiplied your money by 3 times.
Yeah, and then I would just live. Then I would, I was like the only kid that had like the nice stereo, and I had all the albums, and I had all that shit because that's what I did. And I don't think I've ever not had a job since.
Sure, really. Neither have I.
Always got to work.
Because when I was old enough to have a real job at 16, I went to work at Bob Evans as a busboy.
Sure.
And I did that until I went to college. And then when I went to college, I worked at Camelot Music.
Sure.
And I worked at Camelot Music all through college. And then when I got out of college, it was right near the end of the recession during the, first Reagan administration.
Right.
Before things finally started turning around, and I couldn't find a job right out of college in my profession.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working at a car wash, wiping off cars.
Jeez.
You've
done a lot of shitty jobs.
You got to start somewhere. You got to get your foot in the door. You got to go make $1.
Well, and the thing is, too, is sometimes working those shitty jobs gives you the hunger to do better.
Exactly. And I only did that for a couple of months, and then I finally got into the transportation field, and then from there on, I went on from there.
Right. Well, it's just like, dude, the 2 jobs that you had before your current job.
Yeah.
Both of those were shitty.
They were shit jobs, but you got to take what you can get.
But they opened the door and made you hungrier to go and get this job, which is now a really good job for you.
It's a very good job.
You know, you went from which one do you think was the shittiest job? The Indians or the one before the Indians?
The ones before the Indians.
You think that was because you complained an awful lot more about the Indians?
Well, dealing with people is one thing, but you know, I'm just gonna, you know, what I did for a while is I drove a cab,
right?
And you know, dealing with the dregs of society, a majority of my rides were the drunks going either to the bar or going to the liquor store.
Right.
Or, you know, the biggest part of my clientele doing that, I mean, it was a cash job.
Right.
Which was the attractive part. But some days you made out, some days you didn't.
Yep.
But, you know, the thing is that you dealt with a lot of people who the reason that they had to take a cab is A, they didn't have a license.
Right.
Or B, they were too poor to own a car because of their poor lifestyle choices.
Right.
And they spend a majority of their money and their time soaking up alcohol like hemorrhoids on the ass of progress.
Right.
You know? And I had to, you know, shuttle these people around.
Yep.
And then you had to listen to their lame stories, half drunk stories half the time, you know, and they want to smoke all the time. You know, it's just like, it was just disgusting. It's just like, ugh, if I ever get to this point, just shoot me. You know, just shoot me.
Well, there were days that you were saying that just from doing that job.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever been more unhappy.
Ugh.
But then you went to the Indians, and even that, you had... Look, now I'm telling your stories that are probably your stories.
Well, that's okay. You might remember something I forgot.
I remember when you first got that job with the fucking Indians, and you were so fucking happy. You called me up and you're like, dude, I'm finally out of this fucking cab.
Well, it went from, you know, driving the cab to working in an office situation again.
Yeah, which just seemed like it was going to be so good.
Yeah, it could have been good.
And I mean, it couldn't have been 2 weeks. You were like, this is as bad as the fucking cab, man. This is as bad.
Yeah. Well, when you're dealing with third world, you know, attitudes and ideas and just the ideology, you know, that's when, you know, and I've said this on the show when we've talked about the Indians.
Right.
That's when I decided, you know what, if I'm going to deal with these people, right, I need to understand them and where they came from.
Right.
And that's when I got, you know, involved and started reading up on the culture and the ideology and the belief systems and all the other things. So I knew how to combat it.
Right.
And I did. I was able to combat it for 2.5 years. I mean, believe me, during that 2.5 years, I was always on the lookout for something better.
Right.
But just due to the economy and, you know, various other things, it just wasn't there.
Yeah, the taxi thing. Wow.
Yeah, that was a tough one too.
That was literally, and again, I don't mean to be telling your stories, but that was literally like, I have to imagine that was the low point of your existence.
Yeah, it's pretty low. I would agree.
Because you were miserable there. If I'm not mistaken, that was also when I was off the show.
Yeah, that was a 12 to 14 hour a day job.
But you didn't have Saturdays to even come back and do the show and have fun with.
No, I couldn't do it because I worked on Saturdays. I started my day at 6 in the morning. I had to be at work at 6.
Right.
And then I worked till 6 or 7. And by the time I got home, I had just enough time to get home, get situated, get things rolling at 8. So it only gave me about an hour.
Right.
From the time I got home. Mm-hmm. And then try to continue the show and then have to be back to work at 6 in the morning.
Right. And continue the show by yourself.
Yeah, by myself.
So you didn't even have the fun that we had.
No, there was no fun involved. It was just, you know, I knew that somewhere things were going to change and I wasn't just going to shit can everything because my life didn't accommodate it at the time, you know?
It's just funny. I mean, it's not funny. It's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time because there were many times I was like, I got to maybe I'll just call in. And then I'd look over and I'd be like, yeah, that will be a problem.
Sure.
You know, I was like, fuck.
I mean, both of us were going through our trials and tribulations about the same time.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Your world fell apart the same time mine did.
Right.
You know, and it was the day I quit the show was when both of our worlds kind of just fell to shit.
More or less.
You know, for a couple of years. But it worked out.
But you power through it and you just go, you know what? It's not so great today, but it'll get better tomorrow. You know,
Yep.
Life is peaks and valleys. We just happen to be in the valley for a little while.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it's peaked again.
Yeah, now it's good.
Yeah, so we're on the peak. So, you know, there's probably a valley to come again, but you deal with it.
Yep. It is weird how that is working though right now. Like I'm having more success than I've ever had, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, professionally, I've never been doing better. And you know this. I mean, I don't talk about it a whole ton on the show other than, you know, people know about the museum, but the museum's not even making the most money right now.
Sure.
You know, the museum makes second most money to me personally, to my, you know, the Aiken IT and you know, the books and everything else are doing unbelievable. And, you know, I have this TV thing coming up that we'll announce as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know of it, I think. Right? I told you. Yeah.
You told me.
Yeah, it's not. When I'm saying I have a TV thing coming up, it's definitely not, you know.
Heavy metal television.
No, or the local news.
Or you know, Inside Metal on T-Radio V.
No, it's something that literally, what do you think their audience is? 5 million?
I'm sure it's as big as that, if not more.
Yeah. 5 million people seeing me talk about my dumb book.
Right.
You know, that will be amazing. And just to have that on the table is fucking amazing.
Sure.
But I don't know if you do this. I do this all the time. Every time anything goes wrong in my life now, I'm like, oh, is this the start? You know, I literally have, is this the start of it falling back down?
Right.
Because I'm paranoid. You know, I'm paranoid that it's going to fall apart again. But at least now I don't have, you know, a drain on my soul.
Well, there's a cliche term out there. It's ride the wave.
Right.
You know, just ride the wave.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's peaks and valleys. I mean, there's good times and bad times. I mean, Zeppelin sang about it. Good times, bad times. Right. You know, it happens. But the thing is that you just power through it. You just you know, ride the storm out.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, there'll be another up if you keep working.
Yeah.
It's when you quit that you stop coming out of it.
Yeah, when you give up.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this is it, and I've talked about this on the show about my fandom as a childhood with Evel Knievel.
Yeah.
You know, and I noticed your friend there used Evel Knievel for his video.
Oh, yeah, the Tim and the Watchers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But Evel Knievel always said, you know, and I remember this as a kid, and I still live by it today. It says, he said that a man can fall many times in life, but you're never a failure until you refuse to get up.
True. Very true.
So, you know, and then the other thing is I saw that somebody posted on your Facebook this week a little excerpt from Teddy Roosevelt about immigrants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, which I thought was very good. And you know, I'm a big fan of history and,
sure,
you know, things like that. And, you know, another thing that Teddy Roosevelt said, and I think about this as well, Teddy Roosevelt once said, it's better for a man to win glorious victories and triumphs, right, even though he's checkered by failure and fate, than to rank with those poor spirits who've never experienced victory or defeat because they've lived in such a great twilight they've never tried either one. So basically what it's saying, instead of sitting on the couch like Moogle and not doing anything, it's better to go out and achieve and fail than not do anything.
Yeah, well, dude, there's no doubt about that. Being a slug is the worst form of is the worst failure, because it's a choice, because it's the only way that you're choosing to fail.
Yeah.
You know, look, there's no, and I say this all the time. People, you know, and you know this well. People tell me all the time when I try all these crazy business things that they're going to fail. You know, I've heard that with every business. I heard it with Ink and IT. I heard it with Music's Bottom Line. I heard it with the museum. I've heard it with radio. I've heard it with everything. Oh, you'll never be good at that. You'll fail at that. That's going to fucking fail. And you know what? I always think all the time, if the museum closed tomorrow, for whatever reason, if the museum just stopped making money and it fucking, bottomed out, there's no failure in it to me. Because I tried it. I took a shot.
Mm-hmm.
If it works, fine. If it doesn't, fine. At least I won't fucking look back at my life and say, man,
I should have tried that.
If I just would have done that, I'd have been happier.
Mm-hmm.
Shit works, shit doesn't work, now if I did something that was guaranteed money and it failed, if I decided to open some kind of a legal whorehouse in Nevada or something, and I couldn't get anybody to come and fuck my women.
Yeah.
All right, that might be the failing that I might take personally.
Sure.
Like, how can I not get guys to come and fuck chicks?
Right.
What am I doing wrong here? But, taking a chance is a success. Whether it hits or not is just, it's just the product of taking a chance. But if you don't take a chance, then your life will always be mid-level to below.
That's right.
The best it can be is mid-level if you accept mediocrity.
Right.
And I can't even fathom that. I don't know how that would work.
Well, that goes back to that Teddy Roosevelt quote I just gave you.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It's better to fail at trying something than not trying at all.
Right. I agree.
So for those of you who are fans of the CMS and think that, Chris and I are some kind of sages of some kind, there's some sage advice for you.
Yeah, there you go.
You just try it. Go try something. Yeah, hey, look at our friend Kendall Peters. That girl's 21 years old. Mm-hmm. She's setting up a studio in a room at her house so she can record a show. She's got laptops and Macs and soundboards and microphones. And here's a 21-year-old girl doing this because she has a passion for it and doing it. Our good friend Hairball John, he had a passion for doing his radio show and, had to, put that on the shelf for a while just due to, personal circumstances. But now he's back.
Right.
And it's not about money and it's not about, financial gain. It's about following your passion and your dream and your hopes and doing something that you just feel passionate about.
Well, anything you go into with the sole goal of making money is going to be a failure.
Right.
Even if it makes money, it'll be a failure, in your head. Because it's not, I'll say this and, this will sound shallow from a guy that makes decent money, but making money is not fun. There's no fun in making money. There's fun in, like you doing what you do, and I won't say what you do, but, with what you do, the check isn't the fun part. It's the close.
Yeah, it's the challenge of getting the job done.
It's when you call that guy and that guy says, you know what? I like talking to you. I'm going to buy 10 of the widgets that you're selling.
Well, see, here's the thing, and then I'll give you a story this week.
All right.
Unfortunately, one of my colleagues had to part company with my company.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He was working on a project that I basically helped him with.
Right.
About 90% of it.
Right. Because
of his lack of understanding, information, whatever you want to call it. He just didn't. It was out of his element.
Right.
And I basically shepherded him along in working with this corporate client to get this product.
Right. Sure.
And just about every week for the last month, I would say, hey, where does that stand? Oh, I'm working on it. Mm-hmm. Hey, where does that stand? Every week. What happened with that thing? What's going on? Because this client came to the office on 3 different occasions. Now, when somebody comes to your office, they're serious.
Yeah, of course.
They took the time out of their day to come down and sit down with you and hash this thing out. So that to me means we want this.
Yeah, they want to buy what you're selling.
Exactly. So I would prod this guy on a weekly basis. Say, where does that stand? Oh, yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, things happen. He parted company this week with us.
Right.
And I spoke with my employer and I said, hey, whatever became of that? And they were just like, I don't know. He was working on it.
Right.
So I dug through the files, found it, called the guy up, and I said, hey, I'm just following up on this because I met with this guy, on behalf of my former colleague there. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm just following up on this. I said, where do you guys stand with this? I don't know what you guys are waiting on. We're just waiting for you to send over something for us to sign and get moving.
Wow.
This was a $30,000 job.
Jesus Christ.
A $30,000 job.
That literally needed, an hour's worth of paperwork?
Less than that.
So this guy couldn't make, how much would he have made? And you don't have to give me an exact number, but ballpark, how much would he have made to take that? Am I fair to say a half hour's worth of time?
Yeah, about a half hour.
So how much would he have made for that half hour and that email being sent?
I'm going to add it for you right now.
All right.
By the way, the full commission will be going to me.
Nice.
It was about.
Dum-da-dum.
Mm-hmm. Right about $4,000.
So this guy, for taking 1/2 hour out of his day, could have made $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything at all in this half hour of time that he needed to take that was crazy out of the realm of normal?
Not normal for someone who knows what they're doing.
Okay, and this guy had been working there, what, a day? 3 days?
7 years.
7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in 7 years, this guy didn't learn how to handle this half hour of paperwork.
No.
Okay, now you've been there, what, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years?
18 months.
18 months. And you're now what, in charge of that department?
Yeah. I am now running the show, yes.
Well, you walked right in there, took it over, huh?
I did.
Well, that's what happens when you have fucking ambition.
Right.
Go in there, you show you can do it, and they fucking trust you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they trust you to hire your friends to build them websites.
More or less, and trust me to hire 2 new people this week.
Yeah. And supervise them, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I'll be their direct boss.
Yeah. Which means you get a taste off of their fucking plate, too.
I do.
Nice.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that kind of a pyramid.
Nope.
Gig. Here, guys, this is how we're going to do it. Now, you do that, and that way I eat when you eat.
Right.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Sure. So, anyway.
And good on you. And, I feel bad for your colleague. I met him once. Seemed like a nice enough cat.
He's a nice guy. I like the guy.
Yeah, seemed like a nice guy, but progress doesn't stop for nice guys.
No, not at all. You just got to grasp it while the opportunity is there and just run with it.
And somehow a half hour's worth of work for $4,000. Pfft, I'd be giving up that half hour of sleep for $4,000.
Sure.
You kidding me? Look, I have a check sitting right here for $3,719.88. And I can't tell you how excited I am to get that check. And I'll tell you what, it's going to take me a lot more work than fucking a half hour to earn it.
Right.
That's for damn sure.
I'm not trying to brag here, but I cashed a check yesterday for $3,800.
Look at you.
So.
Man.
But, the thing is the opportunities are there. You just have to go after them.
Right. That's what I tell. Like, I have John doing some work for me.
Sure.
And I always say that. It's like, there's no shortage of people willing to give you money.
Well, let me tell you a story.
All right.
In my profession, we have a fabrication shop.
Okay.
And we needed a new fabricator.
Right.
So my boss hired a fabricator, a guy who could weld, grind,
sure.
Assemble stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This job pays pretty well.
Okay.
And so he gave this guy a chance, and the guy came in, and he obviously has the skill set and the skill level, and they it's not an overly demanding job.
Right.
So the guy comes in smelling of booze.
In for the first day?
No, but during the time he's been there a month.
Okay. Oh boy.
And they basically told him, "Hey, what's up with that?" They didn't fire him immediately. They just said, "Hey, what's up with that?"
Right.
And he said, "Well, I got this little problem."
Okay.
And it's like, well, you know what? That problem is probably going to cost you your job. So we're just going to put you on notice that, this can't be the place, because you come in inebriated and you're dealing with grinders and welders and
cut your fucking hand off.
You're going to cut your hand off. Exactly. You're a liability, not only to us, but yourself.
Right.
Straighten it up.
Okay.
Day after 4th of July.
Hammered.
The reason being, well, there was all these gunshots going off in my neighborhood and I couldn't sleep.
So I got fucked up?
Yeah, so I drank until I passed out.
Wow.
And then came in and they said, well, why don't you just grab your tools and your gear and why don't you go home and have a drink?
Wow. No wonder your boss seemed a little frazzled this week.
Yeah, very much so.
She did not seem her normal cheery self.
Yeah, but the thing is that in that situation, when somebody takes you aside and says to you, "Hey, we kind of noticed that there's this issue."
Yeah.
It's up to you to straighten it up.
Right.
And granted, there's people out there who are sympathetic to people who have addiction problems and et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I think I can speak for you.
Sure.
I understand addictions and whatnot, and people call it a disease. I don't believe it. I don't believe in diseases when it's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
It's up to you to say, you know what, I got to knock that shit off.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm an everything-aholic. Everything. I'm addicted to anything you can put in front of me. Alcohol, drugs, booze, gambling, pussy, whatever. I'm addictive. I have work. I am a totally addictive personality.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes time to fucking do my job, I put that addiction first. I put that addiction over everything else. When I do drink, you've been with me several times. I don't stop. Do I?
Not at all.
When it's time to drink, there's no stop. I am a runaway fucking train of fucking chaos.
Sure.
But, that's when I have almost limited my addictions to when they're appropriate.
Sure.
Now maybe that just makes me a functioning addict.
Mm-hmm.
So be it. That's what I am.
Sure.
There's something about being the word functioning makes it somewhat okay, no matter what anybody else will tell you.
Right.
You want to do meth? Go ahead. Do all the fucking meth you want to do, but you better be able to do your goddamn job.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing, and this goes back to, people who do their level best to, do a job.
Yeah.
So I need 2 people in a sales position.
Right.
And I posted a job out there on some of the job sites.
Okay.
So I got resumes and I went through the resumes and I picked out the ones that I thought, had the potential to do something.
White.
No, not, no, I'm talking about, according to their resumes, what their skill set is.
Right. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I get it. But I called 5 people, spoke to 2 of them.
Okay.
Both of the 2 that I did speak to said that they were very interested and would like to, meet. Neither one of them showed up.
Really?
Neither one. Set them up for a day, set them up for a time. Neither one of them showed up or called or anything.
Yeah, just blew it off.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing.
But see, here's the thing. You hear all these stories about, well, there's no good jobs out there. There's no this, there's no that, there's no opportunities. Well, this opportunity has the potential to pay somewhere between about 80 grand a year first year.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them showed up.
Yeah, for 80 G's.
No.
And minimum, and that's the funny thing, minimum, I mean, you worked there last year, you made more than 50, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you were learning the gig,
mm-hmm.
made 50 grand.
Right.
Or more.
Yes.
Probably, I'm sure more.
Yeah, it was more.
But what I'm saying is there's so many people out there that we know don't make 50 grand.
No.
And they've been in their jobs 10 years, 15 years, whatever. I mean, it's a good wage. But again, a sales gig puts all the responsibility on yourself.
And this isn't really a sales gig either. It's more of a consulting gig.
Yeah.
Because when people come to me for this particular product,
yeah,
they've already got their mind made up that they want it.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is shepherd them along and get them exactly what they want.
Exactly.
You don't even have to sell them on the idea.
Yeah, well, dude, that is it's funny you go with this, because when I in the last month or so, when I was teaching John how to sell, that's what I tell him. That's what I do. I don't, how I sell anything? You know how I sell websites or fucking whatever with the museum or books or whatever? I just let people talk. They'll talk themselves into buying it. I just have to have the answers when they have a question.
That's exactly it. You're a consultant.
Yeah, you don't have to. Nobody likes to buy the car from the guy that goes, hey, let me tell you about this car. It's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel, so that's 5 wheels. And let me tell you, the heat works on this thing, and so does the air conditioner. Nobody wants to buy a car from that.
No, because they have it in their mind, hey, I need a car.
Yeah.
And this is what I can afford, and this is what I need. And
yeah.
So you go to somebody and say, hey, I need a car. Okay, what do you need? I need a car that does this, 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 and this. Well, did you ever think of that or this? Or did you ever consider that? No, I didn't know that existed. Here, let me show you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what I want.
Right. How much you got to spend? $5 grand? Okay, come over to this side.
Mm-hmm.
None of that. Let's go start looking at the 25 grand car.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just listen to people, they'll fucking buy it for themselves.
Right.
I can't tell you how many web contracts I've gotten just from saying, tell me what it is you need. I'm not going to guide you. You guide me.
Yeah. What do you want? What do you envision you need?
Yeah. You need a website. Why do you need it? Oh, you need it for informational purposes, or you need to sell shit from it. Okay. Well, let's talk about that. How many items? How many this? How many that? Done. And by the time they've gone through their whole spiel, they want to be done with it as well. So they'll just fucking throw you a check.
Sure.
It's fucking easy.
Right.
Sales is simple.
It is. If you're not trying to oversell what the person is looking for, that's where your success comes in. Because the guy might only be on a shoestring budget, but you might get a shoestring money. You're not going to get a guy to buy the whole shoe, but at least you'll get the string.
Yeah, and then a little later, you don't know that he won't have more money.
Right. Because of that shoestring budget, he might be able to afford a pair of shoes next time.
Yeah. Well, I've done so many websites where I've started at a little bit, but I've kept the customers for 15 years now or whatever, and I've done 3, 4, 5 iterations of their website, and now they're paying me full money for it. And they've paid me, where I started off making, $1,500 or whatever. Now they pay me, now we're up to like $20,000 from one customer. So the money's there. You just have to be smart and not be like, hey, buddy, it's been a month. What can I sell you today?
Right.
Because nobody wants to hear that fucking phone call. That's the guy that you hang up on.
Yeah. It's just like, listen, I'm fine with what I got. I don't need to, as soon as I want something, I'll call you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, I'll check in with you in 6 months if I don't hear from you first. Out. And that's it. And then you don't bug them for 6 fucking months.
Right.
Leave them alone. People, they don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I would like to think that, a majority of people who listen to us probably are gainfully employed and probably doing okay. I mean, I know our demographic is, middle-aged people. A majority of them are.
Mm-hmm.
They're the responsible ones, not the millennials.
Not really.
But anyway, enough about that.
Yeah, no kidding.